A new hire walked up to my desk, crossed his arms, and smirked. "Since I went to a better college than you should be reporting to me." When I left, he scoffed, "Just wait until management realizes I'm more valuable than you." I smiled, pulled up his performance report, and said, "Interesting, because so far, you haven't completed a single task correctly." I've been with this company for over a decade, starting as an entry-level employee and working my way up to a managerial position. Throughout the years, I've encountered a variety of personalities, but none quite like Alex, our newest hire. Alex joined our team fresh out of a prestigious university. From the moment he stepped into the office, he exuded an air of superiority. On his first day, he approached my desk, crossed his arms, and smirked. "Since I went to a better college than you should be reporting to me." I was taken aback by his audacity. I chuckled, thinking he was joking, but his expression remained serious. He scoffed, "Just wait until management realizes I'm more valuable than you." I maintained my composure and replied, "Interesting, because so far, you haven't completed a single task correctly." Alex's face turned red, but he said nothing and walked away. I hoped that would be the end of it, but it was just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, Alex's behavior grew increasingly disruptive. He questioned my decisions in meetings, often interrupting to assert his opinions. He disregarded company protocols, insisting his methods were superior. His arrogance began to affect the team's morale, and I knew I had to address it. I scheduled a one-on-one meeting with Alex. In the conference room, I laid out my concerns. "Alex, I've noticed you've been having trouble adapting to our workflows. While your education is valuable, experience and teamwork are crucial here." He leaned back in his chair, smirking. "I just think the company could benefit from fresh perspectives. The old ways are outdated." I nodded. "Innovation is welcome, but it needs to be integrated respectfully and effectively. Disrupting the team isn't the way to do it." He shrugged, clearly dismissive. I realized talking wouldn't be enough. I needed to show him the consequences of his actions. I began documenting every instance of his insubordination, missed deadlines, and errors. I collected emails, meeting notes, and testimonies from colleagues. After a month, I compiled a comprehensive report and scheduled a meeting with HR and upper management. In the meeting, I presented my findings. Alex's approach has not only hindered his performance, but has also negatively impacted the team's productivity and morale. Alex was given a chance to explain himself. He defended his actions by belittling the team's methods and emphasizing his superior education. Management wasn't impressed. They placed him on a performance improvement plan, PP, outlining clear objectives and consequences. Instead of heeding the warning, Alex's behavior worsened. He became more isolated, refusing assistance and continuing to miss deadlines. After the PP period ended with no improvement, the company decided to terminate his employment. On his last day, as he packed his belongings, he avoided eye contact with everyone. I approached him, extending my hand. "I hope you find a place where you can thrive, Alex. Good luck." He shook my hand reluctantly, muttering, "You too." After Alex's departure, the team's dynamics improved significantly. The experience served as a reminder that while fresh perspectives are valuable, they must be coupled with humility, respect, and a willingness to learn. A week after Alex was fired, I thought things would go back to normal. The team was in better spirits. Productivity picked up. Meetings were smoother. Everyone started breathing easier. But peace didn't last long. One morning, I walked into the office and noticed people whispering around their desks. A few glanced at me, then quickly looked away. My stomach sank. Something was off. I opened my email and found dozens of strange messages, anonymous complaints about my leadership, all written in the same style. Some accused me of playing favorites. Others claimed I was taking credit for other people's work. At first, I laughed it off. I knew my team. I knew my record. It had to be some prank or a mistake. But then HR called me in. "We've been receiving some serious concerns," the HR manager said. "We have to investigate." I sat there stunned. "Concerns from who?" She avoided the question. "They're anonymous." I was told to continue working while they looked into it, but I could feel the difference immediately. People were tense around me. Some of the newer hires kept their distance. My boss became colder in his tone. I felt like I was being watched every second. It didn't take a genius to guess who was behind it. Alex. It wasn't hard to connect the dots. He had access to enough internal systems before he left. He had enough time to study how our workflows were set up. And he definitely had a big enough ego to want payback. I didn't have hard proof yet, but I wasn't going to let this go. I pulled in a favor from IT. Quietly. I'd helped one of the junior tech guys get out of a messy situation months earlier, so I asked if he could look into any suspicious logins or unauthorized system access. A few days later, he messaged me discreetly. Someone had been using a former employee's VPN credentials to access our internal portal. The timestamps lined up with when the anonymous complaints started coming in. Even worse, I found out Alex had contacted a few people from our office outside of work. He told them I had sabotaged his career. He said I was threatened by his talent. Apparently, he was convincing enough that at least 2 people started doubting me. I couldn't go straight to HR with this. I needed everything airtight. So I started collecting my own evidence. Every email, every message, every weird little glitch in our system logs that pointed back to his account. I even found out he had created a fake LinkedIn profile with a similar name to mine, posting inflammatory comments under industry articles. At the same time, I kept up appearances. I led the team like usual. I made sure my reports were flawless. I volunteered for a new client project to stay visible in a positive light. But under the surface, I was documenting everything, preparing. Then something unexpected happened. One of the newer hires, Jason, knocked on my office door one afternoon. I don't know if I should be saying this, he started, but I think you should know. Alex contacted me a few days ago. He asked me to email HR with a complaint about you. He even sent me a draft. I leaned forward. Do you still have it? Jason nodded. Yeah. I didn't send it. It didn't feel right. That was the break I needed. Now I had something solid. Not just anonymous behavior, but proof that Alex was actively trying to weaponize employees against me. I thanked Jason and promised to keep his name out of it. I spent the next 2 nights building the case. Timestamps, VPN logs, the fake LinkedIn, the draft complaint. I printed everything out, double-checked every screenshot, and took it all to HR in person. I walked into that office calm, but burning inside. Let's talk, I said. HR wasn't ready for what I laid out. The manager flipped through the stack of documents I handed her, silent at first. Her eyes narrowed when she saw the VPN logs, especially the parts that tied back to Alex's last known credentials. But when she got to the fake LinkedIn profile, same photo, similar name, but filled with posts slamming our company, she finally looked up. This is serious, she said. I didn't say anything. I let the evidence speak. They told me they'd start a formal investigation. That I did the right thing by coming forward. That I should sit tight and keep this confidential while they sorted it out. I left that room feeling like maybe things were finally swinging in the right direction. But 2 days later, I was blindsided. A meeting invite popped up in my inbox from legal. When I walked in, they handed me a notice. A formal suspension. Pending investigation. Wait, what? I asked, my voice sharp. I'm the one who brought you everything. The legal advisor glanced at the paper, not meeting my eyes. Yes, but additional allegations were submitted this morning. What kind of allegations? She sighed. Harassment. Intimidation. Misuse of managerial power. We're required to take every claim seriously. My blood ran cold. I knew what had happened. Alex had one more card up his sleeve. And this one, he didn't play through fake emails or anonymous reports. He'd convinced someone, maybe more than one person, to sign their names to these claims. This time, it looked real on paper. HR froze all access to my accounts. I was ordered to stay away from the office, effective immediately. I left the building in a daze. Just 2 weeks ago, I was on top of my game. Now I was being escorted out like some kind of criminal. I sat in my car for an hour, not even turning the key, just thinking about every conversation, every email, every little thing someone could twist to fit Alex's narrative. Then I remembered something. Months ago, Alex had asked to shadow me for a few client calls to learn the ropes. I'd said yes, trying to be the bigger person, give the guy a fair shot. During those meetings, we used screen share tools, and he had access to internal recordings. If he saved those files, he could have edited them. Twisted my tone. Cut out context. I didn't know what he'd submitted, but I had to assume it was bad. I called Jason again, told him what was happening. He sounded shaken. There's something else, he said. After you gave HR your files, Alex messaged me again. Said I was next. That if I didn't fall in line, he'd drag me into it too. That was it. Now we had blackmail. I told Jason to forward me that message and submit it directly to legal. He hesitated, afraid of retaliation, but eventually agreed. He also wasn't the only one. Another employee, a quiet analyst named Priya, messaged me later that night. She'd received a similar threat. Alex had promised her a referral at a big firm he claimed to be consulting for, as long as she supported his story. Priya sent me a screenshot of the message thread. And there it was, Alex, in writing, pressuring her to stick to the narrative or risk losing future opportunities. The picture was starting to come together. Alex had created a fake digital paper trail to tear down my reputation. He'd manipulated colleagues, weaponized corporate policy, and planted just enough doubt to make HR question me. But now, cracks were forming in his plan. I spent my suspension quietly building a second dossier, this one focused entirely on his attempts at witness tampering and digital impersonation. I called in another favor, this time from someone I'd mentored years ago who now worked in cybersecurity. He ran a trace on the IPs tied to the anonymous reports. 3 of them matched the same provider in a small neighborhood just outside of Stamford, Connecticut, Alex's last listed address. Still, I couldn't act yet. I had to wait for HR's wheels to turn, for legal to process what Jason and Priya submitted. Then, something unexpected happened again. I received a call, not from HR, not from legal, but from a partner at one of our major clients. He was pissed. "Why is someone from your team emailing us using your name, talking about project delays? What are you talking about?" I asked, heart sinking. He forwarded the email. It was a Gmail account. But the signature was mine, complete with a fake company logo header. The wording was awkward, but it was enough to raise a red flag. The partner wanted answers. Now, this wasn't just about internal sabotage. It had spilled into client relationships. If this kept up, we were going to start losing business. And if the company lost even one big account because of this, no amount of evidence would protect me. This wasn't just revenge anymore. It was all-out war. I wasn't sleeping much. Every night felt like one long stare at the ceiling, wondering what else Alex could throw at me. I'd spent years building my reputation, doing the work, keeping my head down. Now I was watching it all unravel because of one arrogant guy who couldn't take being told he wasn't the smartest person in the room. But then came the day everything broke wide open. The company scheduled a full-staff town hall, short notice. Mandatory attendance. Rumors were flying around in the group chats, and someone leaked that legal was going to address misuse of internal systems and employee misconduct. I didn't know if I was walking into my execution or Alex's. Still on suspension, I wasn't supposed to be there in person. But HR told me to attend via video conference. They wanted me to stay muted and keep my camera off. It started slow, generic talk about security policy, data access, corporate ethics. Then the legal director, a sharp woman named Dana who didn't mince words, walked to the center of the floor with a folder. Thick. Heavy. She looked right at the team. An internal investigation uncovered a pattern of falsified complaints, digital impersonation, and harassment, some of it extending to our clients. Whispers filled the room. People started glancing at each other. Dana continued, these actions were traced back to a former employee using stolen credentials, fake profiles, and third-party email accounts. We have confirmed IP logs, screenshots, and testimonies from staff who were pressured into participating. Now you could hear a pin drop. She looked toward the back of the room. Alex, please stand. Yep. He had shown up. Alex stood up slowly. Smirk gone. He tried to keep his face neutral, but his eyes were twitching. Dana handed him a paper and said calmly, "You're being reported to local authorities for corporate fraud and harassment. You are no longer allowed on company property." Someone gasped. Another person, one of our finance team members, muttered, "Finally." Alex opened his mouth. "You're making a mistake." He set me up, pointing toward the screen, knowing I was watching. Dana didn't even blink. "We have witnesses. Messages. Digital fingerprints. We know you created a fake LinkedIn profile. We know you contacted clients pretending to be someone else. You're done here." Jason stood up. His voice cracked, but he was loud. "You tried to get me fired. You threatened me. I should have reported you the second you messaged me." And then Priya stood up too. Quiet, usually invisible in meetings. Her voice was like a blade. "You offered me a fake job just to drag someone down. You're disgusting." Alex's face collapsed in on itself. Not angry, broken. Like he realized, in that moment, it was really over. He didn't yell. Didn't storm out. He just turned and walked out the back door, shoulders hunched, not looking at anyone. The call ended shortly after that. No one said much. HR sent me a formal apology via email. Legal sent me a document clearing my name of every allegation. The next day, I was back in the office. Some people avoided eye contact. Some apologized, awkward, half-mumbled things in the break room. A few patted me on the back like I'd just come back from war. But the trust wasn't the same. I wasn't the same. I'd done everything by the book. I kept calm. I followed policy. And it still almost cost me everything. Jason stopped by my office around lunch. "You okay?" he asked. I shrugged. "Getting there." He hesitated. "You didn't deserve that. None of it. Anne, I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner." I nodded. "It's fine. You did eventually. That's what matters." There was a long pause. "I think he really believed he was the hero," Jason said quietly. "That he was smarter. Better. Like if he just pushed hard enough, everyone would see it." "Yeah," I said, staring out the window. Some people mistake ego for talent. The company let the dust settle quietly. No big internal memos. No press release. Just silence. I got invited to a strategy retreat a month later, and that felt like their way of saying, "We still trust you." I didn't answer right away. I needed time. I still don't know what hurt more, Alex's attack, or how fast people were willing to believe it. But I learned something important. You can do everything right and still get blindsided. The world isn't fair. Office politics aren't fair. People, especially insecure ones, will do anything to feel powerful. But I'm still standing. I still have my name, my job, and the truth on my side. And that's enough for now.